That's one of my favorite words. And this year, just this week, I did a 3 wow, 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 wow. And I would have to do many more for looking out in a room full of friends. I mean, there's so many people here that I relate to. I look out there, oh, yeah, thank you. Thank you for being here. This is really about you folks. We're gonna talk, but it's really about how you respond, and how you relate to what we're saying. And I'm gonna introduce Joyce. We've worked together since 2010. We were on the board of a not-for-profit. Yay! And it was a seed institute, and it has nothing to do with seeds. It was a organization that set up conferences. We had 13 years of the Language of Spirit dialogues. And in 2012, we had a conference entitled The Mayan Calendar and Other Prophecies on the Future of Humanity. And we had almost 500 people attend in Albuquerque. So that's kind of where we met, but I want to get into her biography because it'll take about an hour and a half or something. And it's just amazing the things she's done. So I'm going to summarize it. And since it's been written out, I can read that, or parts of that. And she's too modest to do it herself, so. Come on, there we are. It's Dr. Joyce Anastasia. She just got her Ph.D. this year in January. Yeah. And you talk about, we were on the phone a lot about the dissertation and about the studies, and it's just amazing the amount of work she put in. She had to finish up, 5 courses right at the last?
In a month.
In a month, yeah. Joyce serves as a bridge between physical-based reality to the more subtle and hidden realms of extraordinary life opportunities. And that's reality. I mean, that I know that's true. I've experienced it. Her intuitive leadership consulting, ethical research, mystery school, and spiritual wisdom teachings are reflective of her expansive training, education, and in the trenches, deep life work experiences. These include 2 master's degrees in multicultural counseling, fine arts, visual and performing, advanced leadership, Psi, healing Reiki, certificates, and a Ph.D. in quantum natural medicine, focusing on the intersection of parapsychology, integrative medicine, and spirituality. A lot of travel all around the world. She was a head of creative documentary for, what was it?
Foundation for Global Humanity.
And that was just, you talk about some interesting things going down to working with the mamos in Colombia and all manner of interesting things. She was co-chair and chair of the art department of a college in Santa Fe, and worked for the Foundation for Global Humanity. I could keep going because, how you say, it's just amazing what she's done. And we're blessed to have her here today. She, I guess a couple of months ago, I was asked to speak today. And I was talking to her, and she says, yeah, I'll show up. She flew in from San Francisco, just basically for this. And then after a while, a month or so later, I said, well, if you're going to be here, let's set up some workshops. And this is the 5th of 6 events that we've been doing, and in 4 days. And I kind of burnt out. Is there anything you want to say about your bio?
All I want to say is that I have been guided by the divine to be in service of humanity. And all the meanderings of my life path have always brought me to that. And it includes my own transformation, of course. Being in service of humanity speaks to me about how can I grace my own karma? How could I be in a space of pure connection with the divine so that I can be in service with the wholeness of my being?
And I'm Mike Andrews, but many of you know me as Mike Three Bears. But in my tradition, we can compound our names from our other experiences that we've been given. And when I went out on my vision quest in 2004, I had 8 eagles circling over me. So I was given the name of Eagle Eye. On the way in this morning, we had 2 eagles leading us down the road. And of course, that is a great thing. And what's your name?
My given name in the native tradition is Eagle Heart Bridge. And by the way, I had never seen a live eagle close enough so that I could recognize it as an eagle until today. So it was spectacular. I had tears of joy.
I think I'm just going to turn this over to Joyce. We have a record. Lee Gusterson says we have the longest title ever. So if you want to talk about what we're talking about and then jump into it.
That would be great, thanks. And I just want to honor, thank you. I just want to honor Mike. He has been an incredible friend over the years, and he is one of the best collaborators I've ever worked with, and it just gives me a lot of joy. And we joke about this all the time. He goes, "You're the boss. No, you're the boss. No, you're the boss." Because I don't believe in powering over, and I believe in power with, and how much we can collaborate with each other as human beings on this planet in a way that absolutely will transform what's happening here. I was inspired to come here because it had been so long since I had done any workshops anywhere, partly because of COVID, and I had moved almost exclusively online. My favorite, of course, is in person, but I often receive dreams, big visions from the divine. And this is a vision of doing these type of workshops that came to me because I think that's sometimes how my vessel expresses what the divine wishes to bring into the world. So this notion of gracing karma has to do with being in a state of bliss and deep connection with Source for all the ways in which we have been in this lifetime and other lifetimes. So in the tradition of the Mamos in Colombia, there is actually a way in which they evoke from each human being, almost like a near-death experience. Mike speaks about the sweat lodges as being a little death. So rather than experiencing the negative experiences that might come along with having a near-death experience, we get to do it in our lives, in our sacred bodies now. And this relates not only to this lifetime, but all the lifetimes past of our sacred souls. So we come into this world to express and learn and grow, become more conscious of our sacred lives here. Not only are we gifted with life as unique sparks of life, but we are gifted with free will as human beings on this planet. And what that means is we must also take the responsibility of being alive on this planet. And it is an invitation to release, to forgive, and to invite back in that connection of divine love. in my studies, different than in the trenches, but still awesomely amazing, is what I'm finding in our world now, is there is a deep integration between the spiritual and the scientific and healing practices in our world. How amazing is that, right? So biologists are finding, my very dear friend is a biologist who found new ways that we conceive. What does that mean? How do we conceive a child? He is a famous biologist who just recently, and shared this with the Dalai Lama, that there is a call and response of the sperm to the egg. And it is 1 in a trillion chances that we even exist on this planet. Holy cow, right? And that call and response continues. It also tells me that we are at a critical time in our lives. We have cycles in our lives. Just as our globe has cycles, our planet has cycles. We are going from the Kali Yuga, the repeat, maybe even in some instances in more dramatic form, of the Dark Ages, of the Middle Ages. And we're moving into the age of Aquarius, and it has begun en masse. But it's not about blame and shame of other people. People say all the time about warring, we're warring. We're seeing a repeat of all this horrible stuff that's going on in our world. But I ask, how are we warring within ourselves? And how can we, like the Mamos, look at the ways in which we have contributed with beauty and ways in which we have inadvertently or consciously harmed someone? So I want you to sit with that. How have I contributed beauty in the world? And what are the ways in which I might have, unconsciously or consciously, created harm? You have a piece of paper on your chair or under your chair. And if you don't have one, please pass this.
And I have pens.
Do we need paper?
I need to know. Please return.
Yeah, we had more people show up than we expected.
Of course. Just put them on the back table. Okay.
Sandy, you are a star, thank you.
Oh, yes, I'm going. Boy, I've never been so happy. I have white nails.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, I have one left, who's lucky last? I do
Okay, let's come back to,
Okay, last chance.
Go ahead, hon.
so I'd just like you
Okay,
to,
quiet down.
if everyone could be in silence for just a moment. Thank you. Silence can be a wonderful gift. So now, once again, I want you to imagine that you might be experiencing a near-death experience, and you are being asked to do a life review. So I want you to close your eyes and sit with one of the ways that you have contributed beautifully in this lifetime. One, just one. I know you've all contributed thousands of beautiful ways. It can be as simple as smiling to a child. So if you could write that down. And the reason for asking for writing it down is you are being a witness to yourself. You are here now. And now I would like you to consider something that has happened in this lifetime where you might have inadvertently or intentionally harmed someone. And this includes yourself. It could be physical, emotional, or mental.
Joyce, could they please up your volume, because it's difficult for everybody.
Speak directly into it.
Okay.
Got it.
Like this. There you
Can everyone hear me now?
Yes, better.
There we go.
go. Jenny's
Okay.
helping out too.
So I'm going to repeat that again. The first one was one way in which you have contributed beautifully on this planet in this lifetime. And then the second one is one way in which you might have unintentionally harmed or intentionally harmed others or yourself. So let's say you know what? Let me have someone come up and give an example of the way in which they might have harmed someone.